How are you doing? How are
I'm
you doing?
okay.
Yeah?
Not bad. The OT evaluation was today, and it was really good.
Oh, good.
She was very helpful and a very nice person. She did warn me that my physical therapist has been out sick all week, so don't be surprised if my appointment tomorrow gets canceled.
Oh, indeed.
But and I realized that in adapting to my inability to use the my right arm,
Mm.
I've been doing a lot of wiggling and shifting to get in and out of clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And now my sciatic nerve is killing me.
Aha.
So I'm doing some exercises for it. And next time I see my physical therapist, I'll ask her if um, seeing Trish would be okay.
If what?
If seeing Trish would be okay.
Uh-huh. Good. Hi. Hello. Carol has joined us.
Hi, Carol.
Hey, Shelley. Did you get to eat?
Yes, I got chew and swallow.
Excellent, excellent.
It's amazing how much you can appreciate something like that.
Did you have a haircut, Shelley?
um, yeah, last week, I guess,
Ah,
or the week before, something like that.
looks nice.
Thank you. It's I thought it was going to be good because it's very short,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh, maybe I could just fluff it up and it'll be all right without using a hair dryer. Except back here, I have my father's colic. Hair swirls around, so I have this hole.
Oh.
I mean, it doesn't look like a bald spot exactly, but just knowing it's there is really bothersome.
Aha.
I have plenty of hair. I remember my father had a colic there and he had one here. And his hair, even though he kept his hair very, very short, had these swirls there, which is fine when you have a buzz cut, but
Yes.
You mean like mine?
no, he had hair.
Oh,
Yeah, even after chemotherapy, he still had hair.
wow.
We used to call those crop circles.
Crop circles, yes. Well, I have one, and it
You've
requires
got both, right?
attention.
You've got that one too.
I get this one here and back here.
Yeah.
And the white hair is courtesy of my paternal grandmother, and the location is courtesy of my maternal grandmother,
Aha.
who was 83 when she died, and the only gray she had in her hair was right here.
Huh.
A little bit sprinkled in. Oh well.
My mom has a friend. I think she's gray now. I mean, she's well into her 90s, possibly pressing toward 100. But 10 years ago, she wasn't.
Wow. My aunt is starting to get some gray, but not very much.
Huh.
I mean, for years, she treated her hair with peroxide to get the red back,
Mhm.
but now she doesn't care. But I
Good.
had a neighbor she was 90, she was in her early 90s when she passed. She still had red hair and just had a little gray at the temples.
Huh.
She told her hairdresser, she said, maybe I would get my hair dyed. She said it was bothering her. Her hairdresser said, no, nobody would believe you're a real redhead at your age. Because usually it fades.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, you didn't get to see as we drove up. There's a tent next door and a couple of trucks and two cars in the driveway, and neither of them are. I don't. Is the red one yours?
Nope.
I don't
Oh,
think either.
yeah,
The Honda.
the Hondas are.
Okay.
The other things are our new tenant.
Uh-huh.
We do have a new tenant.
Is he really?
Good. I hope he works out.
He's a contractor.
Huh?
So he put up two small storage tents, and he has a big truck and a trailer and a pickup and a hot rod car.
Well,
He
having
probably
that-
was delighted.
Well,
He was probably delighted with your parking area.
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that was a part of the selling point for him.
Yeah.
He actually, he decided he wanted his, he had his own refrigerator because he had moved it out of his house. And he brought our little one from the studio over, and we stored it because he wanted to put his big one in because he couldn't get a pizza in the freezer
Uh-huh.
in the other one.
Important things.
Really? Yes.
Hey, and he also last week fixed the problem that has caused the pipes to freeze from time
Forever.
to time. Forever, yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah, he's a man of few words, but he seems to be a good guy, and he's got money, which is good.
Which is good.
As long as he keeps sending some your way, you're all set.
As long as the rent comes in, we have accepted what's come with him.
Well,
But
there's plenty of parking.
yeah,
Well,
Well-
not more.
not anymore. He's using it up.
Well, you can probably be sure he won't be having big parties because there'd be no place for his guests to park.
But he had a small crew working somewhere yesterday, and they parked in the parking lot and then went off in the truck.
No,
So I think it's going to be just fine.
good, good.
Different. I mean, he's in his 50s and seems to be responsible and
Sure.
maybe a little mature. Yes, certainly more than the last one or the one before that. We haven't chosen too well, I guess. Linda's on her way.
Well, I think I heard the UPS truck, which means he dumped my medication out in the driveway. I'm gonna run out and see if it's there.
Okay. You might want to bring that in, yes.
Yes.
How are you?
Pretty good.
Yeah. What's happening in your life? Anything?
Oh, not much. We're going to see my mom on Saturday,
Uh-huh.
and I had this urge to see my brothers and sisters. So we're all gather at my sister's house at 10 in the morning and have
Oh,
coffee and
good.
just. I'm reading the book Being Mortal.
Well, I don't know that one.
It's by Atul Gawande,
Oh,
who is a surgeon,
Yeah, heard the
and
name.
it's talking about end of life care in the U.S. and
Uh-huh.
his own personal experience with his father's death, and it just got me thinking about what we're doing with my mom, what we could look to in the future, and
Yeah.
and just I was thinking about going up to visit mom and okay, what would be a good day? And then Saturday. the boys aren't working.
Yeah.
And and just felt this urge to see them.
That's great.
So we're gonna do that. I have to.
John going with you?
No,
No. No?
no. He hasn't gone that far in years now.
I see. Okay.
And her chairs are not comfortable much enough for him. He does a lot of sleeping. So on one of these first days, he's going to call you, and we're going to come out and give you his gift. But I told him he's the one who's going to need to call you because it's his thing.
Okay.
So
Well.
we'll try to make that happen. Maybe next Friday. No. Next Friday's a doctor's appointment, a cardiology appointment.
Oh, yes.
So did
Doctors.
well, this gives him something to do. Did you get your meds?
Yes.
Oh,
The
good.
last one, this is one that I can't order more than 2 or 3 days in advance. We have to schedule a precise time for delivery. And in December, it was delivered. And I think it was probably one of the temp drivers delivered it to 74 instead of 47.
Uh,
So when we got home and I had a message that said it had been delivered, I panicked. We looked everywhere around here. So I called, I tried to let UPS know, but it wants to know the value of the package. I have no idea because I don't know what this costs. So I called the specialty pharmacy and they said, well, it says it was delivered. I said, well, it wasn't delivered here.
God.
And so they put me in touch with whoever their person is who has contacts with all the delivery companies. And he called me back and said, they're going to let me know in an hour where it is and what's done. Within an hour, we heard the truck go down to the end of the road, come back up our driveway. Apparently, he only had one delivery on our road, so he knew where it was. Because I mean, we could walk up and down the road and look for the package, but somebody would think I was a port pirate.
Yeah.
So, but since it's not the holiday time, I figured it's okay. And I don't think it's supposed to rain, but they just leave it on top of the garbage can.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh, well.
So anyway, I have it. I'll start it
Good.
these days.
We've
This is
got,
the one I have to get up at 4:30 for.
Oh,
uh,
oh, God.
so they have to. So they're delivering you every couple of days.
No,
Oh,
every 28 days.
oh, okay.
It's supposed to be 14 days of treatment,
Mhm.
14 days off. But in that first 14 days, I only treat for 10 days. But when you call the refill, Shelley has learned, you have to tell them that you started on such a day and ended 14 days later, even though you may have had the 10 days at the beginning.
Mhm.
They don't want to know that. They want to know day 1 and day 14. So now I just mark that on my calendar.
Yeah.
And where do you do the next one? Okay, it'll be whatever the next it'll be day 15. Oh my God, this is crazy.
Hmm.
What do people do when they're not quite right?
Yeah.
They have
One would
either-
hope they have caregivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Caregivers who are on top of it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm fortunate that I live with somebody who's competent
Yeah.
and helpful. And I'm at the point now where I don't even have to ask for stuff. Like I put my Ensure bottles out on the counter and just, I take it you want me to open those? Yes. So, it's good. He put up some grab bars in the shower yesterday.
Mhm.
I don't need them yet, but
No, but they're good to be there.
Well, we found some suction cupped ones, so they can be moved.
Yeah, but you can't really rely on them if you're putting your full weight on it.
Yeah, it's supposed to hold up to 300 pounds.
Ooh.
But at this point, I'm just looking for a helping hand.
Yeah.
You know, when I get to the point where I have to put all my weight on it, I'm probably going to have an assistant.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we'll see. But it's
Unless you fall.
ah,
Falls can happen to anybody.
there we go. Yeah. Although I haven't fallen since October,
All right.
Excellent.
because that was the first thing the OT said to me. I understand that you have fallen at least once in the last 6 months. I'm getting tired of saying yes. I said yes, but not since October. And that I've started wearing the ankle brace.
Yeah.
And also I think I'm a little less stupid.
Well, that's good.
Well, you know, I can't
Linda.
run around with the dog.
Yeah.
I can't run around.
Hi there.
Look who's here.
And
Walking.
I'm walking. I'm wearing real shoes. Oh, it's good to
Woohoo!
see you. Yes, yes. Oh, I've missed you guys so much. Once a week online or once every 2 weeks online is not enough.
Oh,
No,
well, here you are.
I am here. Yes.
All right. Well, we've got Shelley on Zoom
Shall we
today.
zoom in today?
She is.
Hi, Zoom and Shell.
Hello, Linda.
Good to see you.
Look, it's good to see you upright, moving.
With a normal foot.
Woohoo!
Yes, yes, it's still a little swollen, so I've only got a couple options for shoes. Christmas,
all right.
High heels and
well, yeah,
stilettos.
exactly. As if that's lots in my closet anyway. Christmas Eve was, I couldn't wear my dress shoes with my dress clothing for Christmas Eve at the church. So I had some slippers that looked good.
That's good.
Yeah, because the others are all like sneakers and things like that. And I'm like, okay, nobody will notice. You know.
Well, you got a piano in front of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or an organ. Are you playing both? Or?
I'm actually playing both now. It took me Christmas Eve was the first day back to playing the organ.
Do you do the foot stuff?
Mm-hmm. Not well, because I'm more a piano player than an organist, but I do. I
They
do.
probably don't know the difference.
Most of them don't. Most of them don't. I do, and
Of course, and there'll be
Yeah.
a handful.
exactly. I'm getting better as I go.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
so.
Well, shall we move towards beginning?
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay.
It's like we've got our usual spot.
I guess I'll leave you that way for the moment.
That is so much better in person.
Yes, it
Even with the musician flag turned on for
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes it just is so harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today it actually sounded good.
Yeah, good.
Well,
I was surprised.
I do have. I make sure now that I have the original sound turn on.
Ah,
Helps it sound better on Zoom. So I can imagine you probably didn't do a lot of meditating over the last.
No.
However, any questions, reports, how you doing? Anything you'd like to throw into the mix here?
I was reading a book on Buddhist meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing that they were talking about that might help you, Carol, is they were talking about how they prefer to have the eyes open
Mhm.
when you meditate. They're like, okay, if you're sleepy, your gaze goes a little higher. If you're not, if you're a little bit more wired, your gaze goes a little bit lower. And I've tried that a couple of times. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it what their philosophy is that they're trying to keep you in the presence. You still have hearing things that are coming in, but they're like your thoughts. They kind of come in. Same with the visual. And one of the things they say is that it does help prevent falling asleep. I don't know if that's ever something that you've tried.
But sometimes, when I'm that much asleep, they don't stay open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, there's if you're gonna sleep, you're gonna sleep. Yeah, but I don't know if it, because you've been saying for a while that changes it, and I don't know how that fits in the Taoist philosophy.
The Taoist philosophy is that ideally you are doing everything with the eyes open,
Okay.
including meditation, but usually they recommend beginning to start with the eyes closed because it helps limit distraction. When you can have your eyes open and be present to everything around you without that interfering with what you're doing, that's preferable.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It actually increases your awareness.
Okay.
So, absolutely try it with the eyes open. You've been doing all these things long enough that probably you can do that. And not be.
It's been so long since I've been able to do it without falling asleep that I don't know what I can do besides sleep or
Well,
or go into farmland.
mhm.
But yes, having the eyes open and where I usually will sit. I've got one of John's pictures.
Mhm.
I forget which one is there right now. I think it's a floral thing. Leaves and
Yeah.
greenery.
Yeah, something that would be contemplative.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good thought. Anything for you, Shell?
No, I'm doing a little better at staying focused. I think getting sleep at night is helping me.
It helps us all.
Yes, and it's been a month now that I've been sleeping most of the night, and it's made a big difference in my ability to do anything. So that's been really good.
Good.
I don't think I'm making a whole lot of progress with my meditation, but I'm not falling asleep, but not so many stray thoughts are beating my head to get in.
Mhm. Good.
That's good.
Well, let's do a little energy gates and hopefully open them up and get the energy moving a little more freely. And I'm going to move us on today. Sort of. Coming into your basic structure, very aware of the armpits open, the body aligning to allow the energy to move, the feet softening and opening and merging down into the earth. And the head releasing up, opening at the base of the skull, and allowing that connection to the universe, which actually surrounds us in every direction. Let your breathing establish all the parts that we worked on. Even feeling that movement up into the brain if you can. And then twisting outward and letting the weight shift subtly towards Shimiyan at the heel. Let your energy sink through your body. Let all that energy that the body cannot use drop down and flow into the earth. Then focus your mind to extend through your body. Really beginning to feel at as many levels as possible all the different flows of the energy in your body. To whatever extent you can open and close, begin to feel that occurring. the joints in the body expanding open and contracting closed. And then stepping out to a width that's appropriate for you and flowing into cloud hands. And endeavoring to keep everything moving. Finding the curves and the arcs and the sphere. And closing into center and opening to the side. And then flowing into the swings.
It's interesting. I often keep my eyes closed through a lot of the swings,
Mm.
but I wasn't feeling as stable in the third swing as I was usually. So I opened my eyes. And it was interesting how I could feel the energy change. So we were talking about the eyes up or down. If I was here, focused on here, versus when I looked up, there was a total different feeling in the energy as it was moving. It was kind of an interesting thing to notice.
How was it different?
I don't know. I don't know if I've got the words to explain it, because it was
Mhm.
it just felt more spacious, I think, when I brought my eyes up, versus more introverted. And I don't know if that had to do with my position of my head,
Mm-hmm.
maybe,
Does.
but I think there was more to it than just that.
When you let the eyes drop, it drops the energy. So more is going down. As soon as you get the eyes up and keep them up, then things can grow a little more. And indeed, spacious might be a way to describe what you were feeling.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Yeah, it just felt bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It just,
Yep.
so it just felt like there was, where it was a little bit restricted when I was down here, and I noticed,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it was interesting.
So, and just, of course, I can't, with my eyesight, I can't see Shell on the screen, so she's, and now she's not even on the screen at the moment, but
Mm-hmm.
I could see the two of you. And two things I would say, kind of basic things to remember. One is, don't let the shoulders turn further than the hips. And it's very easy, and particularly in the swings, to allow that to happen. So you want to try not to do that, because that causes when the midriff twists like that, it begins to really interrupt in the middle of the flow in your torso.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is to keep your center in the dantian, so that when you go to the sides, you don't tilt. That was kind of interesting to see some tendency to do that. So I sometimes talk about, when you're shifting your weight, to think of sitting on the leg you're moving into. That sense of keeping your awareness here and not letting it rise up in the body. So just a couple of thoughts. So I'm going to talk more today, because I'm going into another way of thinking about what we've been doing, and another way to apply it. So we're not going to meditate as much today. The basic practice is not going to change a whole lot, just what we're thinking about, how we're approaching it, how we're going to use it. And I also, when we do a little meditation, I'm going to take you through a really full closure, which we've sort of done in the past, but I want to really be clear about it, because if, and we'll get to the definition of this later, but if you are working on something that is very heavy, very impactful, sometimes you need to do much more closing than just either of what we have done, either a simple Qigong closure or the one where we're bringing the energy out of the head and down. Sometimes you need to do more and take the time to do that in order to really balance that. So it's going to be a little different today. So previously we've looked at the Taoist concept of loving balance from a number of angles, both within meditation and how to carry what happens in meditation into the outside world. The point of this segment begins with an old saying: if you don't or can't let the past go, no matter how wonderful or dreadful you thought it was, your future at least will only be half alive, and at worst will never happen at all. So the point of this segment will be to present meditation methods that will help you find moments at their natural ending and not carry them so much as heavy baggage into your future. So there's an old Zen story, which some of you will have heard one version of in the past, which illustrates this point, but I'll give you Bruce's. An old monk and a young monk are walking through a forest on their way back to their monastery after taking a pilgrimage. And sometimes they talk, the young one being very sure of himself as to what he should think or be doing as a Buddhist monk. The other one would compassionately listen and shrug his shoulders, and every once in a while just smile a little, sometimes saying to himself, the young are so often sure of things. And somewhere on the road they run into a young woman who looks like she has met with unfortunate circumstances, and she is by herself in this potentially dangerous forest where there are wild animals and bandits, and she is unprotected. And the older monk offers to help carry some of her luggage and walks along talking to her. Well, the young monk, when he can be alone with the older one, begins to complain. Well, we're monks. We're not supposed to talk to women. It's not, it's one of the rules of the monastery. It brings terrible attachments. Well, the old monk shrugs and keeps on going. And at the end of the day, because she has no shoes, the woman's feet are cut and bruised. So the old monk massages her feet with his hands and whatever herbs he can find in the forest to ease her pain. Well, the young monk is furious. Coming from a celibate monk tradition, he is very conditioned. He tells the old monk, "You're even touching her now. Why are you breaking all your vows? You know touching women is forbidden. You know what it leads to." And the old monk shrugs again. Well, the next day the woman tells the old monk where she's going, when they've reached a river whose current is running waist high and very strong. And clearly the young woman can't get across by herself. So the older monk then goes into the water and takes the young woman on his back and carries her across the river with no help from the younger monk. Well, on the other side, the old monk helps the young woman get her baggage together, and off she goes after a brief farewell. And she goes in a different direction, and the monks continue on their way. And when she's out of earshot, the young monk lays into the old one, saying how the old monk was breaking all the Buddhist rules and what a bad example he was making for the young monk. And then the old monk, politely listening, but then with a real tone of compassion, says to the young monk, After carrying the woman across the river, I let her go. Why are you still carrying her? The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus once said, in a flowing river, in the flowing river of life, you can't step in the same spot twice. So in any new situation, going from one to another, anyone can have one of perhaps three possibilities. You can fully experience and get all the life and chi there is to be had out of this new moment. Or you could be half numb and dead to it. Or you could be dead and completely miss whatever opportunity life has just given you. And in regards to this, especially in terms of extraordinary intent, one time when Master Liu and Bruce were casually chatting, they talked about things that had to do with going from one situation to another. How you may only have very light residue, almost nothing, and then again you could have real sort of medium residue. And then there are heavy times, and they just go on and on. And there are decisions that have to be made, and there are problems, situations of medium intensity, and sometimes you could be going from one really heavy situation into another, which could be light, medium, or heavy. And the ability to finish a situation and then go to the next one is a really big thing in life. This is just like when you finish meditation. As Bruce has taught many times, how you should get all your energy to go to your Dantian, clear everything, and then go on to the next thing in your life. And that's a transition. But you can also use the techniques of extraordinary intent to do this in a much more rapid fashion. How long it will take an individual to make their chi go from their head, collected from the whole body, bring it into their dantian, store it, seal it, release it to the rest of them, be calm, be okay, and then go on to the next thing. Well, if you're not used to it, it could take you half an hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Actually, when you get used to it, maybe you can do it in 30 seconds. But the situations in life will transit from one to another in just a few seconds. A phone call to the next interaction. One meeting, one problem. There, one problem making noises, one person making noises at you while you're driving up the road. It can happen very fast. But Bruce and Master Liu also talked about the really heavy stuff. How those transits, those transitions follow the same basic principles. If it's a very, very serious and heavy meditation, Bruce recommended that you go through all the stuff that will bring your energy into your dantian. But for the moment, we're going to start with something that's a little more basic. The technique is to go to your conscious mind and allow it to rest. So let's look at some examples. Part of what this whole thing's about at the end is that you want to be able to transit from one situation to another. And there are three basic situations you might have to deal with. First, you have to recognize a blockage. You have to recognize in terms of life that it may not just be a blockage. It may be the nature of a situation you've just experienced. You just argued with someone about whether or not they are going to cook the steak on the barbecue for an extra 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And all of a sudden you get a phone call that you have to go and deal with, or you have to come to an urgent meeting, or you have to talk to someone on the phone, and you don't want to do any of these things because you're still thinking about the steak, which means that you're still stuck back with that steak. You're not with the person you're talking to. So you have to realize that very quickly at the end of the steak, you have to first recognize the situation. Then you have to go inside of yourself and recognize what are all the tiny bits in your conscious mind that are also involved with the whole steak thing. It could be because you don't like the way that person's cooking the meat, or it could be because you like the person who is talking to you on the phone. It could be any one of a million things, but it's not heavy. This is light. And then in the end, when you do that, you have to join up as many spaces as you can and completely, using the extraordinary intent, just relax the energy of your conscious mind. Now, once you can relax the energy of your conscious mind to a certain degree, that's what allows you to leave behind what you just went through. But what about if you've been thinking about something and it's lingering, nagging you in the back of your mind? People's minds churn all the time. They get into loops. They think about this and they can't stop. And they do it again and again. And some of the loops are fairly light and benign. And some of the loops can be really, really heavy. And if it gets bad enough, you become obsessive compulsive. And if it's really bad enough, you find yourself in a mental institution. And they're putting all kinds of drugs into you to try to quiet your mind. But most people don't get the really bad stuff, but they get the aggravating stuff. They get what drives them nuts. They get what doesn't allow them to sleep. They get one of those moments when they are looking at a really beautiful scene or watching some kids play or whatever it is that really delights them, but they can't enjoy it because they can't stop thinking about whatever that thing is that is running around in their mind like a hamster on a wheel. So then again, just for a moment, stop. Look at the situation. Just try and get what the energy of that situation is, which will be just like the energy of a blockage. And notice everywhere inside you what's connected to that blockage. And you relax all of that and truly unify it with the main situation. And then you just try and relax the entirety of the energy of your conscious mind. So recognizing this energy of your conscious mind at the end of the day is really about the ability to relax. You just relax, and sometimes you only need to do this to let go. And once you get the habit, through all the meditation stages we've been doing in this particular cycle of the training, then you can let go rapidly and you move on to the next thing. Try it with phone calls or with someone when they honk their horn and you're a little bit angry about that. And bring yourself back and go on to the next thing. Or try it when you're having a conversation with your partner or family member or employer, and go from one project to the next thing you have to do. And then when you have to go back to that event, let it go. So you can be completely present with the event that you have to do now, rather than be stuck in the middle between the two of them, so that you never actually get either one of them done well. And again, the same thing happens during meditation. So let's look at this. Let's look at a medium intense situation. Your mind keeps looping. You can't stop for any reason. The event happened during the day and you just keep on replaying it and you keep on second guessing yourself. And it's not like you're looking at the event trying to figure it out. How could I have really done this better? You just keep on going over it again and again, replaying it and replaying it and replaying it, and then you find that you can't go to sleep. And that goes to obsessiveness. And you hope that you don't end up having to take some sort of pharmaceutical drug just to make your mind keep quiet, or self-medicate yourself any other way to try and get your mind to keep quiet. So when you realize you've hit something and it's heavy, how can you just get a minute or two or three to yourself? You just walked out of a meeting where you were discussing a major restructuring, or you just walked out of a discussion with your life partner, and the stuff that they said is major stuff that's going to be playing through your life for a while. Well, maybe it's not a bad idea to give yourself a couple of minutes and go to a practical Taoist point of view. There's always one place you can go to hide out, at least for 3 or 4 minutes. And that's the toilet. So even if you can't go anywhere else because you can't just sit at your desk since everyone is looking at you, maybe you go to the toilet, or maybe you have an excuse for a break of some sort. But just give yourself at least 2 or 3 minutes to bring yourself back to the energy of your conscious mind. When you can see that, and you recognize it as just something that's in there, then you can go on to the next thing. And as you get better and better with this, it takes less and less time. Now, if we look at really heavy stuff, the great difficulty you have with these is that you usually, to some degree, have irritated something that's in your unconscious mind. So you have an inner volcano, or you have an inner depression. And now it's activated depression, or it's activated the sense of a volcano. And that's very, very, very heavy stuff. Because you can be fuming for the next day and a half, or you can get depressed for several days. If you recognize that it's something very powerful like this, there are 2 ways you may want to go. There is the sort of thing, this is the sort of thing you can only go to after work. There's no possibility of doing it while you're working. Somehow you just have to get through your day. At least if you can, do something from a medium level perspective and reduce things. But then after work, you want to sit. You have 2 options. The first thing is that you can choose to try and start getting to the bottom of this. So you dissolve and you make an agenda and you do whatever it is you can do. At least you try and clear away some of the big logs that are in the river. But then when you get to the end of it, try and stop the looping and the continuous, never-ending repetitions. So you can transit to the next stage of your life, whether it's going to be going to bed, or it's being with someone, or you can have the next big chunk of the time in your life. Realize if you have an inner volcano or depression, and then at the end of your meditation, you focus the energy of your conscious mind, make an agenda. Just make it like an agenda. Anger, wrath, inner volcano, depression, and only dissolve that. So close your eyes. And for a little bit, begin to think about something that disturbed you. Not something too heavy. Actually, see if you can remember something maybe that's fairly light. And see if you can become aware of how it has an energy just like a block. And then see if you can begin to connect to all the little pieces that are related to or connected to that blockage, to that issue, to that thing. begin to relax all of those pieces. And let them flow into the main thing. And let it relax. And then focus on relaxing the entirety of the energy of your conscious mind. And when you've gotten as far as you can with that, sink your energy to your lower dantian. Let it come from all over your body. From every place. Front and back. Your legs, your head, your hands, everywhere. Let all the energy of your body come into your lower dantian. Then with your mind, you make a force field around your dantian. Make something that contains it. And then when you've made whatever it is that contains the dantian, in the very middle of that, relax what's inside that ball. Relax that energy. When it relaxes enough, in the very center of that ball of energy, you let a little hole open up, like a black hole. And you let as much of that energy as possible flow into the black hole. as much energy as can has flowed into the hole, you close it. And you relax whatever energy is left between that hole that you just sealed and the boundary of the ball. And you dissolve it as best you can. And then you open up that ball. And you let that energy stream to the rest of the body. And you let your body relax as much as possible so that everything evens out. When that's done, you let your mind go directly to that place that we have worked on the past few segments, where your extraordinary intent can interface with the energy of your conscious mind. And you relax as much as you can of your conscious mind's energy. Whatever you can get a hold of. Part of it or the whole thing. And you just relax and relax it until internally you stop twitching. Or at least you twitch less. And then you just let your mind go really easy. And in this space, with the energy of your conscious mind, just be aware of life. And when you're aware of life in that moment, It's very important that you involve all the loving balance you have inside yourself. Because if you've been through a volcano, you may have regrets or anger. Or maybe you've had to release poisons from your body. Or maybe you're coming out of a depression. Maybe you're not forgiving yourself. But still, whatever it is, get all the loving balance you can until somehow your system calms down as much as it can. And you're able simply to talk to anyone, to not talk to anyone for at least 5 minutes. Let yourself just be still. And this is how you go from one transit to another. This is how you go from having had a massive fight with whoever to just taking a little bit of time and then being able to go back and see them again without reigniting the fight that you had before. Or you've met someone who's depressive to you, and you can see them without reigniting and getting sucked into triggering your depression again. And this is what you do after a very, very powerful meditation session. To allow yourself to arrive at a good baseline. And so this is the practice. We've talked about all these practices, so what is my recommendation? For the first week, just do light stuff. And then for the next 3 or 4 weeks, it's your choice, whether you want to take on medium or heavy. But until you can deal with light stuff easily, even if that's what you do for the next month, just testing. Am I transiting from one thing to another a little bit better? Does my mind keep churning, or am I actually starting to appreciate what's happening in the situation for whatever it is? Remember, as people like to say nowadays, life is all good. And it is just a question of whether you accept it or not. But if you don't accept it, you don't transit. If you don't let go of the past event always wants to stay with itself. It doesn't accept the future. So just let it go. Practice this well. But do yourself a favor. Do not try and do the heavy stuff before you have some experience with the light and the medium. Otherwise, very often, you may just be taking on more than you can chew. Are there any thoughts or questions at the moment? Thank you. Explore. So have a good few days, Shelley.
I do have a dentist appointment Monday morning, in Waterford. I should make it to class though,
Okay,
but I plan to drive myself right there from the appointment.
okay. Well,
Okay.
we can start a little late if we need to.
I mean, I think I'm the first appointment, so I shouldn't have to deal with any backup.
Maybe.
Yeah, my appointment today was at 10:30. We didn't get started till 11, till 10:45. You know, it's just, as time goes on, these doctor's offices just back up.
Yep, they do, don't they?
Yes.
Well,
Well, enjoy the weekend.
thank
Linda, it
you.
was so good seeing you,
Good
even though
seeing
I didn't get to see you in person.
There'll be a time soon.
Maybe
We'll
it'll work
get a
out next
chance.
time.
Yes.
Take care of all.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Good seeing
Bye.
you, Shel.